this exercise, I would like to show you a more practical example. I received a note from the client and he is not really happy with the little box here. He would like to add a texture to give a more military look. So for that, I have found this texture here. But as you can see, it's a flat image, so I can't merge it like this on my image because the texture won't follow the shape of my model. In other words, what I need to do is to wrap this texture over my little box here. And for that, we're gonna need to use the UV pass. But first, let me give you a quick explanation. When we have created our 3D model, we need to unwrap the UVs in order to be able to put texture on it. The most famous example of a 3D object unwrapped is this one. Unwrapping the UVs is like creating a flat version of the object, so we can easily paint over it and then wrap the texture back how it was. But in order to do so, we need to have access to the 3D model, and for the moment, we don't have it. This is why it's convenient to render a UV pass. Like this, the UV coordinates are stored in the RGB values. This means that we can wrap our texture on the object without the needs of the 3D model. For this, we're gonna use the STMap node. We need to plug the STMap input to our UV pass and the source input to the texture we want to wrap. Then we need to set the node correctly. The channels here is the source input, so we're gonna put RGB. And the UV channels option is the STMap input. Because our UV pass is an RGB image, we're gonna put RGB also. Now, if everything is correct, this checkerboard should be wrapped around my model. As you can see, it seems okay, but we have a couple of issues. The first one is this. You see that we have these weird edges here around all the objects. In the chapter 1, I was explaining how important it was to not filter a tech pass. Well, here the problem is precisely caused by that. If you pay attention here, you can see that the filter is set to cubic. So first of all, let's put it on impulse. Unfortunately, even like that, the problem is still not solved. Maybe the problem is coming from the pass itself. Let's take a look. Bad surprise, indeed the problem is coming from the pass itself. As you can see, it has been rendered with anti-aliasing, and because this is a tech pass, it's wrong. At this point, as compositors, we can't fix the problem. We need to ask a new render to the 3D department. And be careful, you might see on the internet people saying that you can unpremult the pass to fix the problem. But this is not correct, and let me show you why. First of all, let's see how the unpremult node works. By default, it does a divide operation of the RGB image by its alpha. So if I take a look at my alpha, you can see that it's white everywhere but on the edges. So if I unpremult my UV pass by the alpha, I'm gonna have hard edges only on the edges and not inside the alpha. As you can see, I have now aliased edges here, but not here. So this is not the correct way to solve this problem. I have re-rendered the pass without the anti-aliasing this time. You see that now I have hard edges everywhere, here and here. You can also see that if we unpremult the image, we get wrong values in comparison with the correct aliased one. If you pay attention to the edges here, they are not the same. So once again, re-render the pass without anti-aliasing is the correct solution. Because I want to work in a clean way, I'm gonna replace the wrong pass with the correct one using a shuffle node. So here I'm gonna use the RGB of the A input, so here, and I'm gonna overwrite the existing UV pass. Now if I check my shuffle here, it should be the new pass. So now that we have corrected this, let's go back to our STMap. As you can see, now we don't have the problem anymore. I can quickly show you the before and after disabling the shuffle node. I think it's pretty clear. By the way, here I'm not happy because it's written RGBA. This is because I'm using a little TCL expression here in the label. I'm saying that I want to display the value of the knob called in1. So if I hover the mouse, here you can see that it's written in1. But what I want is to display the value of the knob called out1. So I'm gonna quickly fix that. Now it's correct. Before going further, I have a little concern. Now the whole wrapped texture looks aliased. This is because the filter is on impulse in our STMap. So we might think that we can change it back to cubic. But unfortunately, doing this brings back our edge problem. But don't worry, I'm gonna show you a little trick to filter the image after the STMap using a matrix node. So I'm gonna put this back to impulse and create a matrix node. Leave it like that and click OK. I won't explain how the matrix node works because it's pretty complicated and even myself I don't exactly know how it works. But if you go to this website and go down here, you see that he is talking about an anti-aliasing filter. And here we have the values to put in the matrix node. We can use this one or this one. I'm gonna put those values. And click on normalize. Also, I don't want to filter all the channels, I just want to filter the RGB. And there you go, now we have a filtered image without the edge problems. And this is kind of close to the cubic filter. Let me show you a little comparison. Maybe my filter is a bit too strong, so I'm gonna try the other one. And let's compare. I admit that it doesn't look perfect, but if we check the image at 100%, it should be okay. Let me just see how it looks with and without the matrix node. It should be acceptable. A little bit earlier I've said that I had a couple of issues. The jagged edges was the first one. The second one is a bit more obvious. On the body I should have squares and not lines. To be totally honest, I don't understand this problem, but I suspect that it's coming from the UDIMs. When you unwrap the UVs, you do it on a square that has a value from 0 to 1. This square is called a tile, and when the model that we are unwrapping is too big for one tile, we need several of them to contain all the UVs. Those multiple tiles are called the UDIMs. These are the UVs of my model. Here we can see the value of 0 and 1. Also here 0 and 1. So this here is one tile. And in this first tile are contained everything but the body. This one is contained in the second tile that goes from 1 to 2. This is why I suspect that my UV wrap works for everything but for the body. I have to admit that at this precise moment I don't know how to fix this problem at the source. But I do have a little dirty trick to fix this issue. For that I'm gonna use a color matrix node and I'm gonna plug it right after my UV pass. Once again, I won't be able to explain you how this node works in detail, but basically what you need to know is that this here is the red channel. This here is the green channel, and this here is the blue channel. But also, this here is the red channel, this here it's the green channel, and this one here it's the blue channel. So because the UV pass has values only in the red and the green channel, I'm gonna put one here and here. Like this, my image is the same. Now what I'm gonna do is to change those values here to move my texture. As you can see, if I change my values in the color matrix, it changed the values of the UV pass. And because the values of the UV change, the texture will move. So I was saying that it's a dirty trick because now I have to figure out by eye when the values are correct. So let's find out. It seems that if I put those values, now I have squares everywhere. I agree that it took a little bit of time, but now all our problems are solved and we are ready to move on with the correct texture. The first thing that I can say is that the texture is a bit too big, but if I scale it down with the transform, it doesn't work. So I have a better solution for that, and it's called the tile node. This texture is a square that is meant to be replicated seamlessly. This is exactly what the tile node does. To go a bit faster, I'm gonna link the rows with the column by pressing Ctrl, click and drag here. Now I can replicate it as many times as I need. I think like this should be okay. The last thing that needs to be done is to isolate the part here using a mask. And for that I'm gonna use the CryptoMatte. If you don't know what CryptoMatte is, I recommend you to check this tutorial in 3 parts from Arvid Schneider. The link is in the description. CryptoMatte allows us to create quick mask by simply picking a part of the model in the image. Here I just need the box, so I'm gonna click on Picker Add and pick the box. Now if I check my alpha, you can see that it has created a mask for this box. If I continue, I can add objects, or if I click on Picker Remove, I can remove them. It's for sure a really handy node. Now the last thing to do is to copy this alpha in the texture pipe and pre-mult it. Now my texture patch is ready to be comped, and once again, because I want to work in a clean way, I'm gonna shuffle it into my main pipe so I can reuse it further. I already know I'm gonna use it in the diffuse albedo, so I'm gonna call it diffuse albedo patch 01 and click on auto RGBA. OK, and close. Once again here I want to change the label, so I come here and put out 1. There you go. And I'm gonna take the opportunity to clean a little bit the comp so everything stays organized. So if I do a quick recap, what I need is to put this patch in the diffuse albedo. We have seen in chapter 2 that in order to be able to comp the diffuse albedo, we need to separate the diffuse lights. Then I'm planning to use the subtractive method to do the job. The first thing I'm gonna do is to separate this diffuse light and then shuffle it into my main pipe so I can reuse it whenever I need. I'm ready to do the real comp now, so let's do it. I need first to remove my diffuse from the beauty. Then I'm gonna import my diffuse albedo and I'm gonna merge over the patch I have done. Here I have a little issue. If I check my diffuse albedo patch, I don't have what I'm expecting. This is for a simple reason. I forgot to put A in the input here when I was shuffling the patch. Now the issue is solved. By the way, the reason why I put diffuse albedo as a prefix in the patch name, it's because now it's easier to find it here. All the diffuse are grouped together. As I have explained in class number 4, having a good naming convention helps us to keep everything organized. And when things are organized, is way easier to work with. Now I'm gonna multiply the diffuse light that we have prepared before and then plus the result over my beauty. Now that everything is properly comp, I see that something can be fixed right away. I didn't pay attention to this before, but the resolution of my texture is too low, and as you can see, the result is all pixelated. For this, I'm gonna simply use a reformat and increase the scale. Here my original resolution is 1K, so if I want to multiply this value, the easiest way is to come here in type and change it to scale. Now I can easily increase the resolution by changing the value. You see, now it's 2K and I can increase more. To help me find the right resolution, I'm gonna plug the viewer at the end of the comp. And now I just need to change the value until I'm satisfied. "4K seems to be nice, and if it's necessary I can still come back and change the resolution later. Okay, now before going any further, let's take a look at the overall image. Alright, we managed to put the texture as the client was asking, but I think if we add a little bit of dirt we're gonna have a better integration. For that, I'm gonna use a simple noise. I'm gonna put it right after the tile. Like this, if it's necessary, we will be able to change the camouflage pattern size without touching the noise. For the color, I'm gonna use the diffuse albedo and sample the color of the dirt. Now it's just a matter of fine-tuning until I'm satisfied. I can also copy-paste this noise so I can have a second pattern. Alright, I think that this time I'm satisfied. Let's see the before and after. I think that now it looks a little bit better. We can also try to grade a little bit the camouflage pattern. Let's see if it helps. It's not a lot, but I think it's quite good. I've just received a new note from the client and he changed his mind. He doesn't want the texture on the box anymore. He wants it on the helmet instead. Don't worry, because we have a solid and organized comp, this fix gonna be done in no time. Here the only thing I need to do is to change my cryptomat. I'm gonna simply remove the box and add the helmet and that's it. It's gonna be done. Let me show you. You've seen how fast this has been done. It even took in account the little dirt that we have created. This is because we took the time to prepare our job correctly. Do you guess where I'm going with this? Exactly, my good old friend, the turtle strategy. Stay alert because I have some other client changes, but I'm gonna keep them for the next chapter. Thank you very much for watching. Just before leaving you, I would like to give you an information. This course is 100% free and I'm not paid for it. I really made it with the desire to share knowledge with you. But if you like to reward or support the job I've done, you can give me a tip by following the PayPal link in the description. Once again, thank you very much and see you soon.